Using Audit Trail, you can get complete traceability of the user actions in VCF deployments so that any suspicious or unauthorized activity can be dealt within a timely manner. So here we launch the Audit Trail. We can select a custom time range, or we go with the presets. We go with the default options here and click Analyze. The trend chart in the overview section plots success events versus the failure events by 15-minute time slices. So here you can see a high-level summary by severity, components getting touched, and also the top subjects. You can further drill down in the record timeline to expand record details by 15-minute time slices. You can use the filters here to narrow down specific record types and components. Now, for most of the customers, we expect that they would be investigating a particular case or some unexpected behavior or other things likewise. So you can further streamline and establish an audit trail that, hey, somebody went here and then tried to log in into this instance and another instance, tried to make changes here and there and so on. So basically, you want to curve out a slice and you can look at what is actually happening in that particular slice. Now let's look at scenario where a business critical application was down for some short duration, and during the same time some of the VMs were impacted. So I'm sensing that there were some suspicious activity around that specific time. So we want to trace and find out what exactly happened. So first, we'll pick the same time range. So we go to scope, we'll select the custom time range when this incident happened. So we select the time and the date. Now I'm sensing that there are some suspicious activity that somebody is trying to launch some sort of denial of service attack, or somebody is trying to misuse some of these accounts and try to log in using those accounts and try to perform some suspicious activities. So what I did first is to look at all the login logout activities. So on the record ID, so I searched for events like the SSO login failures and logouts, also the SSH connections, analyze. So now what this gives you is a summarized view of what happened in this time range. So here you can see there were like 18 success event, 6 failures. Then we see that 2 components were touched. So there were like 13 login logout attempts on the vCenter and 11 on NSX, right? So this gives you a breakup of which components are getting touched. And under subjects, we see the accounts as well. So this gives a good starting point to carry out your investigation further. Now we see the events broken down in 5 minutes time slices so that you get a sense of what is happening. So if I minimize this, you can see like there were records for login, logout attempts, and all of them were successful and some were failed attempts on the vCenter. Now let's scroll down to next page. So we see similar behavior where there were SSH connections to NSX manager as well during the same time window. And then we also see there were login as well as logout attempts to the vCenter. So now this raises concern saying that, hey, really like in 5 minutes, somebody is trying to log in, log out, and who's the user? So you can look at all sort of lateral movements through the audit trail. Now for this scenario, we understood that there were some application VMs that were also impacted during this downtime. So let's see if there were some kind of VM related activities. So let's try to expand the scope here and include VM operations and analyze. So now if we expand the record timeline, we can see there was a power off action done on the VMs as well as delete operations also on the VM during the same time window. And we can also find the VM name here. So the VM name is AI workloads. So here we see the VM name and it is also part of the business application. So you can see like the VM was powered off and also deleted during the same time window. But how can anyone go and delete a production VM, right? So there should be someone who tried creating a new account or tried updating roles with admin privileges who would have deleted these production VMs. So let's see if there were any kind of role changes related to this operation. So let's go ahead and expand the scope further and look for any role level changes. So we select role delete, update, record IDs, and analyze. Now if we expand record timeline, so here we can see that there were role updation done in the vCenter. And we can also see the vCenter name, and we can also see the subject who actually has gone and done these changes around 11:05 a.m. So here's the role update. You can see the username who did the change. Let's try to streamline the search by looking only for the vCenter, NSX, and ESX components. Let's scroll to the next page. We also see a role update change done on the NSX manager, and that is now done by a different subject name, so which looks like a service account. So how can a service account delete roles in an NSX manager, which usually has only a read-only access? Isn't it suspicious? Then we see some SSH connections on NSX at the same time. Then again at 11:09 a.m., we see another activity done by the NOC user, where again the user goes in and updates the role in the vCenter and logs out. So now that we know the user accounts that are involved in this whole service outage, let's try to search for the events triggered by these subjects to have more clear picture. So now we are going to search for the subject names and click Analyze. So now we should see a complete audit trail and breakup of the activities performed to bring down the application. So here we see like there were 17 success events. We can see that like vCenter, ESX, NSX components that were touched during this downtime. And under subjects, now we also see the usernames or the subjects that carried out this activity. So now if we expand the record timeline, so this is a detailed breakup of the activities performed to bring down the application. So here we see that at 11:04 a.m., there was a login attempt done by the NOC user 1. He logs into the vCenter, does a role update, ends session. Then we can see there is a new login attempt from service account. Then we see another activity where the VM is powered off and then the application VM is deleted. The service account then logs in to the NSX manager and does a role update, deletes a role within the NSX manager, and then logs out from the vCenter. Then we see again the NOC user logging in back to the vCenter, doing another role update, and then ending the session. So this is a known pattern when somebody tries to kind of like create an account or update roles and do something with that account. And they want to erase all the audit history and all of those things, right? So this is a standard pattern of carrying out this malicious activity. But with audit records and audit trail, you are able to pinpoint this pattern saying that, hey, in this time slice, this account was added and then what was done right. So it gives an sequence of things like what happened and when. So that's in a nutshell is what audit records feature and audit trail feature is. It allows you to pinpoint a particular set of things, especially when you are trying to investigate a particular set of actions across different components. So it's not about like, hey, you are looking at a single console or if you are looking at a single component. So this gives you around what's happening in a particular time slice across different components and establishes a pattern with you. So we believe this is really important as we grow VCF, and we can use audit records, audit trail feature to trace such activities. Thank you.